Imagine two kids. One starts their career in an ambitious karting racing series, the other one goes to high school and plays on the football team. But both dream of the ultimate prize. One dreams of becoming a Formula 1 world champion, the other one of winning the Super Bowl. So, which dream is more likely to happen? I didn't just ask myself this question because Super Bowl is just around the corner and the Formula 1 season is also close to start again. That's gonna be so great. And if you don't want to miss future vlogs or videos like this in the future, please hit the follow button. I also started thinking about it because recently I came across an Instagram profile of Samuel Oram Jones, an international pro football player who as a kid competed against the guys like Verstappen, Leclerc and George Russell. And he even managed to beat them sometimes and was a former junior driver of McLaren. So how is it possible that someone with this much talent at such a young age doesn't become an F1 driver or racing driver at all, but does manage to reach an international pro level of American football? One important thing up front, in this video we are not comparing individual outlier athletes. What I really want to find out is how many kids of each field of interest from a single generation actually make it to the ultimate goal. And then we ask, what's the probability that at least one person of this generation eventually goes to win the big title? Let's start with motorsport, of course. A recent economics report that popped up on my Instagram feed titled A Forensic Audit of Motorsport Economics from 2020 to 2025 brought together global data for the first time, including FIA statistics, team budgets, junior series and economic data. And the result is sobering. Worldwide there are roughly 1.2 million participants in the motorsport development ecosystem. And from that pool, only about 3.5 new drivers per year make it into Formula 1. That means your chance of even reaching F1 is roughly in 1 in 342,857. That's not longer a sporting statistic, that's lottery. Now you might say, okay, but that includes everyone, even those who just try the sport and skip karting after half a year. But what about the very best? The report has numbers for that too. Even among the international karting elite, so the top 0.05% worldwide, the maximum probability of making it into Formula 1 is only about 0.55%. So in different words, even if you're among the top talents globally, you still have more than a 99% chance of not making it. So what's the reason for that? And I think most of you already know the sad answer to that. In modern motorsport, talent is no longer a primary filter. The junior ladder has experienced a massive cost explosion. Competitive international karting now costs over 200,000 a year. Formula 4 in top championships runs about 450,000 per season. And if you want to move up to Formula 2, you're looking at roughly 2.7 million per season. That's not normal inflation. That's hyperinflation. The system is so flawed that it now produces almost exclusively two types of drivers. First, drivers who win races but get stuck, and second, drivers who pay and move up. A drastic example to illustrate that, Formula 2 champions Felipe Drugovich and Theo Pourchaire both failed to make it up to Formula 1 despite winning the Formula 2 world title. Pourchaire summed it up by saying, essentially, I don't have the money to put on the table. At the same time, other drivers skip whole categories, thanks to state backing or family wealth, even without matching results. The clear takeaway, today the most important filter is no longer the stopwatch, it's financial endurance over nearly a decade. And even if you make it to Formula 1, you are still a long way from becoming Formula 1 world champion. Historically, only 4 to 5% of all drivers ever raced in F1 became Formula 1 world champions. That means, even with a super license or a seat, the odds are still extremely small. What this all adds up to, we'll look at in a moment. But first, let's compare the path of a driver coming to Formula 1 with the path of a football player going from high school to the NFL. In the United States, roughly 1 to 1.1 million teenagers start playing high school football each year. And that's the football generation we're gonna use as reference. From there on, the path leads from high school over college football to the NFL. The entire college system is organized by the NCAA, and athletes with exceptional talent are actively supported. And the good part is, compared to Formula 1, performance is everything here. About 7% of high school players make it into college football. But from there on, the jump into the NFL is brutal. Even using conservative numbers and looking only at the draft, you end up with roughly 1 in 4,000 high school players who actually make it to the NFL. And once you make it into NFL, there are 32 teams. The average NFL career lasts 3 to 4 years, which sounds not that much, But you have to imagine that not everyone is playing 20 years like Tom Brady. Over the span, this results in a rough probability of around 10% to someday be part of a Super Bowl winning team. Which sounds pretty great at first, to be honest, but of course it somewhat hides the much bigger hurdle, actually making it into NFL in first place. So now the real question is, how does the probability of winning the Super Bowl compare to becoming a Formula 1 world champion? To do that, let's break the math down using the following framework. Roughly 0.025% of high school players make it into NFL. And as we just established, the chance of reaching and ultimately winning the Super Bowl during an NFL career is about 10%. So the probability that a high school player will someday win the Super Bowl is roughly 1 in 40,000, which conservatively calculated corresponds to a probability of about 0.0025%. But how does that compare directly to Formula 1? The chance of making it from the motorsport development pipeline into Formula 1 sits at about 1 in 342,857. But remember, even during an F1 career, the probability of actually winning the Formula 1 world title is only about 4 to 5%. So let's say 4.5%. Multiply those together and you get the chance of a licensed car driver worldwide eventually becoming a Formula 1 world champion is 1 in 7.6 million. Or expressed in percentages, it's about 0.000013%. So yes, ChatGPT told me that, but I can confidently say that even just reaching F1, as I already told you before, like it was written in that Instagram post, has a probability of about 0.0029%, which is still far below the probability of winning the Super Bowl. So let's put them side by side. The chance of going from karting to becoming a Formula 1 world champion like Lando Norris is about 1 in 7.6 million. The chance of going from high school football to becoming a Super Bowl champion is about 1 in 40,000, which means for any individual starting out, it is way more likely to win a Super Bowl than to become a Formula 1 world champion. And we are not talking about the factor 2 or 3, we are talking about the factor 190. And now to the core question. What happens at the generation level? A single generation includes over 1 million players, with odds of 1 in 40,000 that mathematically results in roughly 25 Super Bowl winners from just one high school generation over time. Which means the probability that at least one person, so let's say someone is born today in 2026, will win the Super Bowl is practically 100%. Motorsport is different. Here we are also looking at the global development base of about 1.2 million, so fairly comparable to American football, but with an individual probability of 1 in 7.6 million. The expected value is well below one Formula 1 world champion per generation, which means it's not even guaranteed that one guy in the world who was born in 2026 will win the Formula 1 World Championship in the future. And I can agree to that because I was born in the year 1998 and the only driver, so far I know, who was born in 1998 also was George Russell. So if he won't become world champion, this statistic is pretty accurate. So here's the honest answer. For any individual, winning a Super Bowl more likely than becoming an F1 world champion. The decisive difference in football, performance is primary filter, but in motorsport, capital has increasingly become the main filter. Or as the report puts it, in Formula 1 it's not longer about to be fast, you have to have a proper business. So this video has come to an end. I hope you enjoy it, and if you did, follow my channel, hit the like button and activate the bell for more videos. See you in the future with more content coming on and more vlogs coming on. See ya.